Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream about the rise of microing your marketing. So I'm here with the amazing Kelly Tenney from Teach Your Brilliance. And doesn't she look great in green? I hope you guys are all wearing green
I love
today.
green.
We have another thing in common besides our love for microing. Kelly and
Yes.
I, is it both our favorite? It's your favorite color too, right?
Yes.
Yep, we both love the color green.
Today's
So
your day.
today's our day. Today is our day. And I
Mhm.
think our second favorite color is the same too. Is yours purple as
Yep.
well?
Yep.
Look at that. Great minds.
I
Great
know.
minds. So today, guys, we are going to be talking about how to micro your marketing and why that's been so essential for 2022. And we're going to go into what that means for your clients. So before that, though, I want to tell you guys a little bit about this awesome lady who happens to also love green and purple, just like
Mhm.
me. Kelly is a lifelong learner, educator, and curriculum expert. She's also an expert course strategist. So she has been teaching for over 20 years, empowering others through education. Her desire to empower has led her to start this company, this amazing company, Teach Your Brilliance. And we have co-founded a company together, which is Micro Your Business. So she owns two businesses. She's offering curriculum creation, course strategy services to creators, influencers, and experts who are looking to grow their impact, create lifelong clients, and generate infinite streams of income. So, this is how amazing she is. And Kelly, I'm going to just have you share a little bit about those 20 years of experience in education because we had a fun little talk with my mastermind group here earlier this week about fun stories with online learning and how interesting that's been. I'd love for you to just tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I always say, like, I'm a teacher turned entrepreneur. I was a middle school seventh grade teacher of all things, teaching health to middle school students for almost 15 years, and that, of course, comes with its own share of fun stories when you're a middle school health teacher. But I eventually moved into the college realm. At the same time, I was also promoted within my district to oversee the health curriculum that was being developed um, to our students. And, I had my master's in curriculum, and that's the fun and the beautiful part of what I do now is recognizing that in education, traditional education isn't set up to serve all learners. Um,
Mhm.
Many of you probably went through school thinking, wow, if they had taught me something that differently or in a different way, it would have been a lot easier. And that was my job, was to make sure that the education we were delivering was sound for all learners. So when I moved into the entrepreneurial space, it was really interesting to see that um, experts and coaches and all the course creators were making very similar mistakes that we have done in education. And so it's fun to be able to marry my love for education and my background in education with what we're doing today, which is helping people. I always say, turn your wisdom into wealth, and making sure that you're doing it in a way that is educationally sound so that people can learn.
Yeah, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head for I think so many people when it comes to online learning and a lot of the methodologies for online learning is courses. So
Mhm.
and I know for me, whenever I'm very hands-on. So whenever I learn best when I can actually either implement while I'm learning or right after I've learned something for me to fully embody what it is that's being taught. So I don't think I don't think the mainstream education really worked for me the way that it needed to until I found my own groove.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna, take a stab and say that's probably a reason why you love science, because
Yeah.
science traditionally has been one of the few school subject areas where we actually get to be hands-on. We actually get to do the labs and the experiments, and so many kids learn that way. And they tend to excel in those more hands-on subject areas. So that's probably why you leaned towards science, because you learned the best in that, and you were able to feel the most, success in what you learned in that class.
I mean, that's a really good point. And
Mhm.
I mean, if you're gonna get a degree in science, you gotta love it because of the
Yep.
labs. The
Yeah.
labs are like at least 3 hours long. I know some of them are 4 hours long. You got lots of science. Did you got a degree in science too? Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have a minor in science, and I actually
Mhm.
taught seventh grade biology for
Yep.
about half of those 15 years. So
Yep.
I had, I was able to see the difference with those kids that really thrived with just getting in there and being able to get their hands dirty and figure things out there on their own. And
Yep.
that's really something I know that we try to bring into the e-learning space now is recognizing that engagement and
Yep.
like you said, that ability to process and implement, that's typically what's missing in a lot
Yep.
of the online education that we see. And if people can't process and implement, then the learning doesn't actually happen in a transformational way. It just becomes more information that gets packed into our brain. So that really is the key component
Mhm.
that we see with online education and what actually will make the difference with
Yeah.
a course and having a course that's truly transformational.
Yeah. I love that you said that because of how I learned, this is how I teach. So whenever
Mhm,
I teach
mhm.
something, and you've seen it because I do it when I'm like, oh, just go and do da 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 da, and let
Yeah.
me show you. And
Yes.
so I do that. I video record myself and sharing screen and showing people how to go through steps with their marketing, steps with their tech, and
Mhm,
even their copywriting and having formulas and just giving them examples.
mhm,
And I have found that most people, I mean, there's always a couple just like, "Oh, I don't need all." I get it. They like their concepts.
mhm.
But almost 95% love that type of teaching, which speaks a lot, I think. If 95% of people are saying that's how they want to learn,
Yeah.
um, it's really I think it's really time to shift how we are showing up, even if we're, in consulting or own an agency or coaching. How we teach others is really needing that powerful shift.
Yeah, and I think that's where the shift in conversation is happening. I think
Mhm.
with the online space that we've gone through, and online learning and e-learning is something that's a lot more popular and than it has been in the past. When we look at traditional course creators, a lot of those traditional influences in online courses have been all about like just throw all your content out there, get it online, and you have this
Mhm.
amazing course. And so many of the traditional course creators talk about lots of content,
Mhm.
and long videos, give them everything you have, and then it's a great way to generate revenue. And I
Mhm.
think with the virtual space that we've gone through, e-learning has completely changed. And gone are the days where we hopefully people are recognizing that a course isn't
Mhm.
just a great way to bring in revenue. It
Mhm.
actually is a way that you can impact more of your audience and get your expertise and your wisdom out there, and recognizing that that long form content isn't really how our brain works. I don't think it's how we learned in school.
Yeah.
I think that's why traditional teaching has changed from the 55 minutes of lecturing to
Mhm.
actually, I mean, you're a mom, your kids are learning completely differently than we
Yeah.
learned in school. And for any of our parents out there, you're probably seeing like there are no more people sitting up and just lecturing and your kids are taking notes. It's
Yeah.
way more interactive, way more collaborative, way more engaging. And this is all part of what you're speaking to is there's been a shift in education, and I really think it's time for us to shift how online education is being delivered as well.
Yeah. So going to like the courses and just putting everything in there, it's like the kitchen sink, right? So we've
Yeah.
turned our courses into the kitchen sink and throwing it all in, and oh my gosh, that's a lot.
It is, and I'm sure, people watching, whether you're here now or you're watching the replay, I mean, like, say yes if you've ever taken a course and not finished it, or taken a course and just been like, okay, this is a lot and it's really
Yeah.
overwhelming. And now I don't know what to do. And so, we talk so much about going micro.
Mhm.
That fits right in with, our conversation around why we want to even change how we're delivering our expertise, how we're teaching others. Because it's the supersize mentality is not beneficial, and we're recognizing that that's not what people want anymore.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. I hear you on that. And that's something that when I'm getting feedback on what I'm teaching, that's usually the first thing I ask is,
Mhm.
how do you guys feel? And if I hear overwhelmed, then it's like, where do you need me to cut this down? So
Yeah,
it's actually a really simple process, for me, just to ask everybody, how do you feel about it? If it's overwhelmed, what do you need cut down?
right,
And so it becomes a micro course on its own, even if it's just that I'm teaching for 15 minutes, and then I can break it down even more. So
right, right.
and I think that people who are receiving that feedback where people aren't finishing their courses, and I know you got some really good examples
Mhm,
too,
mhm.
and they are receiving the feedback like, well, I don't understand, or this feels really complicated. I feel really overwhelmed. I'm not going to get anything done. I'm not getting the
Yeah.
result. That's a really good indicator of that's a good indication that they may need to go micro. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's and I know we're going to talk about the whole concept of micro with marketing in general, but
Hmm.
if you think about it, we're talking about the benefits of what it has on our audience and our community. But really, it's just such a win-win concept. Not only do we deliver content and information in a way that our audience and our clients can consume it, and like you said, have time to process it and actually implement, but
Hmm.
it's so much more time friendly for us. I know you've been like a rock star since we started having conversations, and I don't even want to guess how many micro courses created already. But if you think about that,
Yeah.
you know, um, you and I are putting together a great micro course, and we're able
Yeah.
to get through those videos really quickly.
Yeah.
When you're talking about micro, and I'll explain about the micro course concept in a minute, but it's obviously so much more time friendly,
Hmm.
to not just the learner, but it's time friendly for us who's putting out the content. And
Hmm.
that's a game changer for anybody who's ever wanted an online course and just thought, I don't have the time. I can't
Yeah.
make that kind of time commitment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good point too, is that, and yes, you're a very good teacher, so I was able to go micro very, very quickly. I'm like, oh, well, this makes more sense. And
Mhm.
I think underlying all of this is the intention of really wanting people to get results and wanting them to understand and wanting to be an educator. Like that's really what I'm in it for. I
Mhm.
mean, why have all of this good information if I can't share it in a way that people can implement it? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think I think most of the people that I know are they're about that. And yes, it's great to make a living on what you're passionate about. It makes it easier to sell.
Mhm.
But that's really what it's about. It's if you're going to do courses and programs and everything, and you do any type of hands-on, then
Mhm.
I've found for myself it's easier to do the short bites
Yeah.
of content and give room for questions even, and then implementation. But I also find that going micro, even if we're doing it with courses, and funnels, it's
Mhm.
still not the common practice in the
No.
online space. Have you found that to be true too?
I have, and part of me is like, hello, there's a better there's a better way out,
Yeah.
way out there. And that's why I'm just thrilled about all the conversations that we've been having, because I think the general consensus to many is that marketing is really difficult.
Hmm.
People typically think of marketing being something that's time consuming, marketing being something that is confusing. And there's like, a lot of times I hear people say like all the things, like I try to do all the things when it
Yeah.
comes to marketing. And if you look at, again, traditional marketing influencers, having to do all the things has been a big part of it. But, I think
Hmm.
what the genius that you and I have been able to create together is being able to recognize that bite size is better. And not only is it going to give you time back so that you can actually show up and serve your clients, but
Hmm.
it's going to um, generate a bigger impact.
Yeah.
In addition to that, and obviously having courses and online products and things like that are one piece of being able to have in your pipeline, in your sales
Mhm.
pipeline, when it comes to products and things that you can sell, and even just lead magnets. But time's
Mhm.
definitely changing, and I am surprised that not that many people are implementing yet. But
Mhm.
I think we're disrupting some of the traditional conversation. And the
Yeah.
traditional conversation is that you have to do all the things in marketing, and that you have
Yeah.
to have these really long online courses
Mhm.
that take people weeks to come through them. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, and I think that people think they need to give more in order for people to get big
Yeah.
results.
Hmm.
And I found the exact opposite true. In fact, and I think that there's another piece here, and we could always come back to it in another session where there's not a curiousness as to what our students and our clients are able to do and getting that feedback and almost like I don't want to hear the feedback because then I may have to spend all this time redoing it. And actually, that's where it's really imperative to get the feedback. And also,
Yeah.
it's not scary. In fact, it makes it that much better of a connection with the clients
Hmm.
and your students when you open up for feedback and then offer the solution of, well, why don't we just go into that piece only.
Yes. Yeah. And, that's such a good point, because I think, we can all relate to seeing a course that's a traditional long form course, and looking through all the modules, or on a sales page, all the things that they say they're going to do, and going like, oh, I would love that, but
Hmm.
oh, I already know that, and oop, I don't think I'm ready for that yet, right? And
Hmm.
so I don't want to spend the $2,000 or whatever it may be, because I only need parts of the course at this point in time where I'm in. And that's where the whole go micro idea, even
Hmm.
with marketing, the more micro you get with the information you're giving and with your marketing, I think the closer you can actually touch the part of the customer journey that your client is in,
Yeah.
and recognizing that what they need in part one of the customer journey is completely different than what they need in part four of the customer journey. And what they're feeling is their problem in part one is completely different than what they're feeling is their problem in part four. And
Yep.
we've come from this, like, let's try to hit them all. This is my this is my client. Let's try to talk to all the things. But
Hmm.
you miss people depending on where they are at in the customer journey.
Hmm.
When I first
Hmm.
started my business, I was still I could still be an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
but I was at a different place than I am now. I'm still the entrepreneur, right? But like, what my needs are different, my pain points are different. And
Hmm.
it's surprising to me because, people talk about the client experience and the customer journey, yet we haven't shifted the idea to going bite size, so that you
Yeah.
actually have, a higher touch with where they are at as they move through their journey.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to do this and
Mhm.
I'm still learning that I can actually go a little bit deeper in each of these subjects and I
Yeah.
my mind is still surprised because I got the feedback and this is what we do and I'm like, okay, so where are we missing the mark? Because if I hear I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, I'm like, well, you're not leaving until you do. So I
Yeah.
will stay longer because that's my responsibility. And so what I found and I'll just funnels are a really good example.
Yeah.
And I work with people who are six figure, seven-figure business owners and surprisingly, they still don't understand all the intricacies of a
Mhm.
funnel. They know the big picture, like I know what a funnel is.
Right.
And so when I start asking, well, do you know the phases within the funnel and then the sub phases within a funnel so that you know that you're going to get from here to here to here and have predictable outcomes once you've nailed this?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. And it wasn't just one, it was several. So to me, I'm just like, wow, this is really not getting taught.
Mhm.
And they're even coming in and they're very successful business owners. So they're coming in being very successful and
Mhm.
wanting to take that next level up. And they're not able to really grasp the concepts. And
Yeah.
so I can't even imagine how frustrating. that is, um, for anybody in any phase of their business.
Yeah, the funnel conversation is such a great example because like you are such an amazing and brilliant funnel expert. But I remember when I first heard about sales funnels, like I literally was like, what is a sales funnel? Right. And so I was able to then walk away with like, okay, this is the concept of a sales funnel. I had to go through that, like, what does that look like in my business?
Mhm,
What do I need to put in place to have a funnel?
mhm,
Right? And then after that, I was like, okay, I get the funnel concept. What's my next step? Like now I'm recognizing I need 4 different funnels. Or
mhm,
now I'm recognizing, whatever. But in the beginning, if you had just been like, here's a funnel and you're going to need 4, and this is
yeah,
what you have to think about, I probably wouldn't have implemented because it was too new to me. And that's, I
yeah,
think, what we typically see. And I think we forget, you said like you were surprised. I think we forget that as the experts, the people in our communities don't know
yeah,
the depth of what we know. And so even with course creation, people are like, oh my gosh, your blueprint is like game changing. And I was like,
yeah,
really? Because it's just these 5 steps. But as a curriculum expert,
yeah,
those 5 steps are things I can repeat in my sleep. But people who aren't in curriculum don't know that. And that's where we forget just the little basic things that people need to know to move to
yeah,
the next part of the customer journey. And that's why those giant online courses are hit and miss
mhm,
because a lot of people were like, whoa, I was just ready for module 1. I don't
yeah.
know, I'm not ready for the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, courses and group programs and masterminds and one-on-ones, like all of it counts because we are teaching and coaching in most of these, and so if people we sometimes I think that we broaden it, and like I said, I'm so guilty of this. I'll be the first to admit, like, yeah, I always have to go deeper.
Mhm.
And without that feedback, which my the people that come in, they know that they ask lots of questions. Like, I don't know, I don't go a day without people asking me questions.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's great. That's great. Um, and and so without that feedback, I would know, and I would just make the assumptions, right? That this is people already know these because it's foundational.
Mhm.
So I need to get to the bigger concepts because they want to get the results. But actually, that's not what they may have come in wanting that, but they come in also needing something, and luckily my people are very verbal about it and vocal, like, I need more.
Yeah, and they are. And I just want to make sure I explain what a micro course is. And then
Mhm,
after I do that, you've talked a lot about people asking questions and
mhm,
you getting feedback. And I would love for you to link how micro courses can be really powerful in getting that feedback and that
mhm,
that that data. So,
yeah,
when we're talking about a micro course, I know a lot of people get mixed up between like, is that the same thing as a mini course? How is that
mhm,
different? And a mini course essentially is, a course that can be completed in like 4 or 5 hours. But what we typically see with a lot of mini courses is they still have that 30 minutes to an hour long video for someone to watch. So, like a mini course might be 3 1 hour videos that people could watch back to back if they wanted to and
mhm,
complete the course.
mhm,
A micro course is connected to micro learning. And it's funny because, when we're talking about why aren't people doing this, the
mhm,
concept of micro learning has been in the educational space for years. And
mhm,
it's slowly starting to trickle over into our entrepreneurial online course space. But the idea of micro learning is that our brain prefers to learn in snippets of 15 minutes or less.
mhm,
And our brain actually starts to wander at about the 12-minute mark. And so a micro course supports the micro learning theory. And it's basically a bunch of educational videos that are short and concise and to the point,
mhm,
and they're only about 15 minutes long. So if someone has a module of the 3 best ways to set up a funnel, instead of doing a 45-minute video on all 3 of
mhm,
those ways, a micro course would have 3 videos
mhm,
where video 1 is the first important piece of the funnel, video 2 is explaining that second step, and video 3 is explaining that third. And so
mhm,
It's shorter, it's easier for people to watch, and it allows them time to do that processing and that implementation before they go on to the second piece.
Mhm.
And I know your, part of your expertise is really around that. How do we use that to gather the research to know what part of the funnel comes
Yep.
next or where they're going? So, can you explain how we can use micro courses for that piece?
Yeah, so with micro courses, there's a lot of different ways that we can use them within funnels. But what I like to see when we're doing any kind of course is we start with the goal in mind, right? So the
Mhm.
goal in mind is that maybe we want them to go into a a longer course. So I know that we've had a lot of clients that have come in and say, I actually have a longer course, but
Yeah.
I need support in getting people into it because the old way of webinars is just it's
Mhm.
not working. Nobody's buying my high ticket course.
Right.
So with that, it's okay. We want them to buy the high ticket course, right? But that's like that's what you think. That's what you know they need. They don't know they need it. They don't
Right.
know they need all of it. Like you said, oh, I
Mhm.
think I need that and that and that and that and that. So a micro course is really good to pre-educate the pieces that they are not in the know of that they actually need.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
why I love micro courses because it can deliver pre-education and also you can get paid for it. So it's not that you have to do tons and tons of webinars to do all the pre-education for you, which people aren't going to be able to retain that information anyway.
Mhm.
Instead, you can give them little bite-sized pieces, and that can be delivered in, the second part of a funnel after a freebie lead magnet, or maybe even a shorter micro training. I like micro trainings better than mini trainings because they're actually 15 minutes. So
Mhm.
all of that stuff can work really well, and it's just about taking the pieces apart of the
Yeah.
goal and helping them get there and not making the assumptions that they can get from A to Z by just coming in.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of the people you and I have conversations with also talk about, well, I put this content out and like nobody responds or nobody purchases or nobody
Yep.
signs up. And where the micro course comes in with that is recognizing like, hey, you can spend less than an hour filming a micro course and putting it out there. And that's a great way to test your market and get some social proof around, do
Mhm.
people even want to learn about this piece? And you'll either obviously find out yes, there's tons of engagement, or
Mhm.
no. And when you get that no, the time commitment that it took to actually create that micro course
Mhm.
is so much easier than, God forbid, you spend 6 weeks putting together a full course to only
Mhm.
find out, I don't think people are really interested in this topic. So it's
Yeah.
a great way to kind of throw things out there to test your market. I know you and I are having a lot of conversations with realtors and people in the real estate space.
Mhm.
And it's even a great way to say, like, do I have mostly buyers? Do I have mostly sellers in my space? Do I
Yep.
have people that are just recognizing that the market is hot and they're thinking about buying? But,
Yeah.
instead of creating full courses, being able to create these micro courses to see like where are they biting? Where are they coming into my funnel?
Yep.
Really helps with the filtering, which I know you've spoken so much about, on other videos you've done, is the importance of being able to filter who
Yeah.
is coming into your list. And the micro courses, I think, are a great solution for being able to easily filter
Yeah.
and that pre-education.
Well, and with that too, and realtors are a really good example because um, what happens in a lot of businesses, and I mean, it makes sense if I mean, 2020 was a big year for everybody.
Mhm.
Lots of people came to the online space, and when a whole slew of new people come into an they don't know where to go.
Right.
So those of us who have been in the online space and yeah, 2020 it was like, yeah, I've already been here, but we know where to go. We understand what a funnel is. We understand what a call to action is. And we understand how to put those together. New people don't.
Mhm.
So 2020 really opened up for lots of traffic
Yeah.
without any direction. So
Mhm.
we as entrepreneurs and online business owners have had to actually filter more. So this
Mhm.
is why I love micro funnels and real estate agents specifically because you said it beautifully. It's like we actually have to put a filter
Mhm.
on the very beginning stage of that micro funnel before they even hit the courses. So, and you can, and when I say funnel, most people are like, oh my gosh, a funnel, it takes forever to
Yes.
do this long form copy and putting it together. And, you know, if you are not a tech genius and if you haven't been doing, I mean, I can get a really beautiful one done in 2 hours with
Because
graphics
you're
and
a tech
everything
genius.
because that too.
Yes.
No, I'm not a perfectionist. But that is pretty fast actually. I would
Mhm.
say most
Yes.
people with a 7-part funnel, they would take at least 2 or 3 days to do it.
I'm gonna
Um,
say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I know, which is why I'm glad I have you right by my side.
I'm really fast. I'm like a mad fast scientist. That's what it is. Um, they don't have to take that long anymore. That's
Mhm,
the beautiful piece of it, and they do you don't have to have long form copy because I think that holds a lot of people up. If you are a speaker or if you like to speak and that's how people come into you,
mhm,
you can actually create beautiful funnels
mhm.
by speaking and not having to write everything, and you can do your segmentation after that. And it becomes a very high touch experience even though
Yeah,
it was a low touch responsibility of yours. So micro
yeah.
funnels are really amazing the way that you can do them now, and they convert even better than a funnel because they're fast and they're
Mhm,
asking the right questions and they're moving people along where they want to go, even if they come in not knowing where they want to go. So
mhm.
that's the beauty of that. And then you can have micro courses for that part of the journey for that specific person so it can go much faster.
Yeah, and I think that's just the beautiful part of the blend that we talk about with micro your marketing is recognizing that with your funnel, it doesn't have to be long. It can be short. It's saving you time. We know that, time is valuable, and these micro funnels are allowing people to and market in a way that is less work and less time. And with the micro course, very similar. It's a way for them to get education out there in a way that's not overwhelming. It takes them less time. And the two just partner so beautifully in terms of the versatility of the micro courses and where do they fit in along my customer journey. I mean, I know the micro courses that you and I have created, we're like, oh, we could use it here, and oh, we could use it here, and oh my
Yep.
gosh, we could use it for that.
Yep.
And it's like it's so good to know that like I put 30 minutes into this and now I can use it at a number of different parts in our customer journey and the number of different client avatars. And that's what we want. I think we're really in a time where people want, especially business owners, they want
Mhm.
more bang for their buck. How can I do less and see a greater impact and
Yep.
have a greater impact on my clients? And really the concept of, going micro and microing your marketing is the solution to that. And
Yep.
it's such a great way to keep your marketing real
Yep.
and effective, being able to keep high touch, with your clients
Yeah.
and not having to spend so much time trying to do it.
Yeah. Trying
Yeah.
to do all the things marketing. And and it's so customizable too. I mean, because this is the piece that a lot of entrepreneurs will, they'll bang their head against the wall and just like, I don't know which funnel to create next. I have this avatar and this one. And how does I mean, and then they're all on different parts of their journey that they have different life cycles going on right now. How can you possibly do that? And
Yeah.
you absolutely can serve all of your people and do it in a way that's not wasting anyone's time and
Yeah.
that you're not feeling like you have to do all the things marketing and all the different funnels,
Yeah.
and segment them and let them be a part of that journey. So
Mhm.
I just don't see anything that's being done in the normal everyday funnels and courses that is offering that kind of customization and meeting your ideal client and your prospects where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I know when we think about, and a lot of the hesitancy that I've seen when it comes to creating a funnel, when it comes to creating a course, and where does the course fit,
Mhm.
in my sales funnel, there's so much hesitancy because it's almost like a what can I create to scoop as many of my community in,
Yeah.
and I hear that all the time. I hear like, well, if I create a course on this, I also have people over here and they're not going to
Yeah.
want it. Or if I create a funnel for this, I also have
Mhm.
these people over here that aren't going to be part of that funnel. And it's a
Mhm.
lot of work to leave 10-20% of your audience kind of floating out there. But with the micro, with micro in your marketing, it's really an easy way to say, I have these people and these people and these people,
Mhm.
and that's being able to say, okay, well, then you have this funnel and this funnel and this funnel. And now
Mhm.
you're going to have a micro course and a micro course and a micro course instead of
Yeah.
trying to cast that wide net and hoping that you get
Mhm.
as many people as possible. And I think that's really just where people can work smarter and not harder and have that greater impact
Yeah.
with the micro your marketing concept.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. And I know we're going to talk about the workshop, but this is something
Mhm.
that I'll be teaching for the sales portion of the workshop,
Yeah.
and that your buyers are not the same.
Mhm.
And most people have at least two types of personas with their buyers, at least two.
Mhm.
There's there I like to break them down into quadrants, so they're in one of four quadrants, and most people will have one of two. Now, what people don't understand is that buyers need different. They have different timelines as
Yeah.
well,
Mhm.
and the savvier the shopper, the longer they're going to take to make their decision. And
Right.
so if you are creating a funnel or copy or anything in that is going to push them, and they are not looking to be pushed,
Mhm.
they're looking to get information, then you're losing them. And if that's your ideal client, you have just given them a nice fast exit rate out of your funnel and your business and your life in general. It's like,
Yeah.
and yeah, they will slam that door behind them and not come back. So it
Yeah.
is really imperative. It is really imperative to know these things and to really focus on that customer journey so that you're not losing 98%. Actually, I would say 99% of your ideal clients. And most
Mhm.
people don't know who their buyers are. They don't
Right.
understand. Instead, they
Right.
think that it must be it's the content, it's the funnel, it's all of these things, and it's
Mhm.
usually something that's very basic, and it's at the beginning that you need to know this stuff.
Yeah. And it's the same is true with the learner persona, right? We
Mhm.
have people that are just, I just want to know like the first step. I just want the foundational background. And then we have people that are like, okay, I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for the next step. And I have seen with my own eyes so many times people will leave courses or they'll leave programs
Mhm.
because they're overwhelmed, they can't finish it, they're not implementing, they're kind of spinning, and the
Mhm.
course creators are like, oh, those are just people that will never finish a course. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
probably not, probably they weren't just ready for all of the steps. And so the beauty of the micro course is similar. It's we can meet them where we're at. We can say like, here's the foundational information, and you can watch that 50 times if you're someone that needs the time to process and to really think about how this looks before you step into the next space.
Mhm.
And we can also say, oh, if you're ready for the next 3 modules that are 15 minutes each, I have this right here. And so it's such a great way to meet everybody where they're at in terms of their educational needs. I know
Yeah.
sometimes I just want to learn about something.
Mhm.
I'm like, tell me more. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do the thing. So
Yeah.
tell me more and then teach me and then show me how to do it. Right. And
Yep.
so it's the same thing with the buyer. It's recognizing that they're not all in the same place. Everybody who
Yeah.
raises their hand to learn more, they don't always all want to learn the same amount. And that's why the
Yeah.
micro course can meet them, to
Yeah.
this point.
You know what's really great that you just said though? If they're raising their hands to learn, like first and foremost, you have a room full of people who want to learn.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's amazing. So
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest challenges too. So if you have people who are asking more questions and wanting to learn more, then those are, I mean, I would say definitely for courses and group programs, that's an ideal client. So,
Yeah.
and and it's interesting that we're talking about going faster. And in order to go fast, we are in a process of slowing down to listen.
Yes.
It's very, I mean, but it saves so much time when you do it, and nobody thinks of it that way because they're just trying to get everything out fast or trying
Mhm.
to get them results fast. It's like actually, if you slow it down and listen and, just dig in a little bit deeper with some of these micros and these bite-sized pieces, they're going to speed up and you're actually going to save yourself a lot of time in marketing down the road because they're going to sing your praises. They're going to sell your courses and group programs for you.
Yeah, and you said something really important with, people having the intention to deliver information fast so that they can
Mhm.
deliver the results. But I think what a lot of people miss is if your course is too long and people aren't finishing it, they're not getting any results.
No.
And so, we I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark is they have that thought of like, let me just give them everything I know. Let me just put it all into a course so that they can hurry up, they can work at their own pace and they can get through it and get the results.
Mhm.
But if the course isn't set up properly or if it's not delivered in a way where your client's brain can actually absorb it and implement it,
Mhm.
there are no results at the end anyway.
Yeah.
And that's something that we tend to forget. And I think we are starting to recognize that the delivery, the education piece, and where it's at in the marketing is a big piece of that. It's a
Yeah.
big telltale of whether or not that online education will actually succeed and
Yeah.
be transformational.
Well, and yes, transformation is the other piece, right? So in order for people to get results, they have to have I just the aha, like, I got it.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me now. And so, um, and transformation, it's a very widely used word. It's one of my favorite words. And
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to sum it up when it comes to the learning is like, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get it, and, like, now I can do it, and
Yeah.
if there's anybody watching who's just like, "Nope, I just want a course to generate money," then this is not the conversation that you wanna be in, right? But for anybody out there, yes, I want people to be like, "Oh my gosh, I did your thing, and it's
Mhm.
working, and I'm getting results, and it's totally changed my X, Y, and Z and solved my problem," then
Yeah.
microing is what really needs to happen to ensure that they're seeing that transformation from the expertise that you're delivering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best part of doing this microing of your marketing and sales is that like we were talking about, it does a lot of the testing for you.
Mhm.
And when you can really take it home is when you get the feedback. So there always has to be a micro funnel at the end of any funnel or
Yeah.
micro funnel or micro course that says what was the best part of this, or
Mhm.
what was your favorite micro course and all of that, because within that information you probably are going to have your next micro course, and it's so simple.
100%. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you gave some good advice and earlier, which is just like, what are all the questions? If you think
Hmm.
about like what are the questions that people always ask,
Hmm.
those are your first micro courses. And when it's
Yep.
like, what do they tend to want to know after that? That's
Yep.
your next series of micro courses. And so, for anyone who's wondering, like, oh, could this be me? If you have
Hmm.
people in your audience, in your community asking you questions, then the answer is absolutely.
Yep.
And that's where you start really recognizing like you could go micro, you could micro your marketing, you could answer these questions, the questions
Mhm.
that you've answered 100 times via email or 100 times in Messenger, those
Yeah.
become your micro courses. And now you have an automated micro, marketing system that's working for you.
Yeah.
so that they're getting pre-educated. And when they're coming to you, they're not having these little questions. They're ready to say, okay, what's the next step? Which ideally is stepping into a larger program or working with you.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways that you guys can do this micro marketing.
Mhm.
Um, I'll give you guys one. I'll give one, and I know Kelly's got one. She's got a dozen. She's got a nice little handbag full of, of solutions for you, which is why we play so much. It's so
Mhm.
great. But let's just take people. People don't like to be they don't like to be the guinea pig of a micro or of market research.
Right.
They like it. It's like whenever somebody comes into my DMs and says, "Hey, I'm doing some market research," I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm not your ideal client, but what do you got?"
Yeah.
And it's usually agonizing for me because I'm trying to be polite, but I'm also like, this is wasting my time. And if I can get my time back, then I'm happy. So
Mhm.
instead of kind of going at people, instead go to them,
Mhm.
and meet them where they're at. And these questions come up in Facebook groups, they come up in LinkedIn groups, they come up in Reddit, they come up in oh god, Quora. I mean,
Yeah.
all these different places have people asking questions and questions that you most likely have the solution to.
Mhm.
Your market research can actually come, and your micro courses can also, piggyback off of those solutions, but you
Mhm.
can answer questions of people asking questions, and then it's a very simple, does that support? Is there any other questions that I can support you with? By the way, I also have a micro training if you want to dig into this deeper. Here's the link.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so easy. It's so
Mhm.
easy. And yet no one does it, but when somebody does do it, guess what? They're the rock star.
Mhm.
Wait, you don't need my email? No, I don't need your here.
Yeah.
Go. Have it. It's free education anyway, so
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and
it's
that's
worth it.
and it's so valuable in recognizing where to go next. I've done so much coaching where clients are like, I don't know if I should do this program or this program. I don't know if I should launch a group program that does this or that. I don't know, and it's like
Mhm.
your micro courses will tell you. Your
Yeah.
micro courses will tell you exactly where your group coaching program comes in. It will tell you
Mhm.
exactly what your next workshop should be. And it really is a powerful tool, and not just delivering value to your community and automating your marketing, but it's also so valuable in that data that we need to help us determine what are the next steps in our business.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good. Good stuff. So we got about 9 minutes left. So Kelly, I'm just gonna ask you because you probably know where do you see the biggest miss right now when it comes to online and marketing and sales when it's not micro?
I think the biggest miss is recognizing that people don't want to watch long videos anymore.
Yeah.
I just saw it. And I haven't told you yet, but I just saw
Uh-huh.
in like a Facebook group of
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, somebody ask, "Would you rather watch a 4-hour masterclass or go through like a challenge?" And
Mhm.
everybody was saying challenge, except a few
Mhm.
people were like, challenges scare me, so I'll pick the masterclass.
Yeah.
And there were hundreds of
Which tells
comments.
you their buyer persona right there.
Totally, totally, right? But it was like most of the people, hundreds of comments were like no
Yeah.
on the masterclass. And I think people out there that potentially have master classes, many of them are probably experiencing higher drop-offs in the middle of their master
Mhm.
class, lower RSVPs, or people
Mhm.
actually showing up.
Mhm.
I know you and I have worked with people that are like 200 people signed up for my master class and 7 people actually showed up live. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of work to plan and to be live for an hour, 2 hours
Mhm.
for what you thought was going to be 200, right? And
Yeah.
so I think the biggest missed opportunity is continuing with this long form video. I think
Yeah.
it's the way that we've learned and the way that we've been taught.
Mhm.
And I think there's some slow change in people who are recognizing that's not the case, but I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be very obvious very
Yeah.
soon that it's not the case, and I think this is an opportunity for a lot of people to be leaders and to be pioneers in recognizing, like, your time is valuable, and I can
Mhm.
tell you this in 15 minutes, and I
Yeah.
don't need to spend an hour trying to fill that and, just to keep you online. And
Mhm.
I'd love to know too how many people have felt the pressure of saying, like, "How am I gonna fill 2 hours? Like, what am I actually gonna do to keep people online in 2 hours?" And just so
Mhm.
for even people in our seats, what a breath of fresh air to say, like, "I can film 4 10-minute videos,
Mhm.
no problem,"
Mhm.
versus like, "Oh, what am I gonna do for 40 minutes?" And the energy that it takes. So I think if people don't shift and if people continue with that long form, with the master classes, with the long videos, with the longer courses, they're gonna continue to
Mhm.
see a drop off and people are
Yeah.
looking for something else. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram Reels, that's why it's all blown up. People just want like a give it to me in a short and sweet way.
Yeah.
And people are going to be forced to change, I think, at some point.
And we didn't really go into this. So I'll just tap on it a little bit, but the other thing is that doing it micro and digging deeper into your expertise actually showcases you as an expert. Whereas
Yes.
what I feel like when I see something really broad and I will look at a webinar title now and I'll say, "That's not an expert," because of how broad the webinar title is, and where I know that webinar title is gonna go. I'm like, I wouldn't watch that, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it to my people,
Yeah.
even though the topic is topical.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the biggest differentiators that you can have today amongst everybody else is to actually go micro, go niche,
Hmm.
and to break down smaller concepts so that people can go faster and have bigger results, and just being really good at communicating that.
Hmm.
That's going to be a big difference, and this is how even those unknown experts are, they're going to start being known,
Right.
and that will spread.
Hmm.
The marketing will take care of itself. If you show people how to do things quickly, you save their time and they get the results quickly, it's going to
Yes.
come back around for you in a positive way.
Absolutely. And, I just had someone say to me that they watched, I don't know, it was like a 90-minute something. And they were like, there was one piece of expertise that was
Yep.
genius that I needed.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not going back to try to find it in that 90-minute video. And
Yeah.
so, it's true. There's such an amazing opportunity to be able to say, like, here, let me spend 15 minutes really diving deep into this and
Mhm.
allowing everybody, in the community being able to say, like, where is it? Oh, this is it. And I can find it when I need it. And that might
Mhm.
be now and that might be in 2 months.
Yeah.
But it's so versatile, in terms of marketing, like we were talking about, the micro
Mhm.
courses are just so much more versatile
Mhm.
and will allow you to spotlight, your expertise
Yeah.
in all the different ways that people are looking for at it in whatever part of their customer journey
Yeah.
is. And I think that's key. I think it really is allowing people to create that show-stopping customer journey
Yeah.
in a way that's a win for their audience and a win for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just that I love the validation, but nothing feels better than like these two different sentences. And one is, it's like you knew me, you nailed it, or you
Mhm.
nailed me, really, because you knew
Yes.
exactly what to say, and that's exactly what I needed at that point. And the other one that I love to hear, which isn't so much in the funnel, but it's in the teaching, is that I would have never have known that that is exactly what I needed,
Right.
right? It's like I just gave them buried treasure,
Yes.
which it did actually. But they can't
Yeah.
Google it, but it was exactly, and they didn't have to wait long for it. So, um, I love hearing that. That makes me feel
Yeah.
like, okay, I just made an impact today.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
totally shifted somebody.
Mhm.
Um, so guess what, guys? We want to help you guys shift. So just this conversation is very, very top, top, top tip of the iceberg. when you guys get to experience me and Kelly together, looking at your funnels and your courses, you guys are going to be blown away. And so, what we have brought our two very big brains together and done is come up with a workshop for you guys if you want to come and break down a group program or even a course into micro courses and how to create those micro funnels. So, we have a 2 hour workshop and it's next week.
Yep, it's
Yep,
in a week, next Thursday.
next Thursday, guys, and you can go and register for that. There is a small price. It is still in early bird for 3 days. So if you guys
Mhm.
want to grab early bird, the end here's the three. Then the 20th, the end of the day on the 20th is when you can get the early bird, then prices go up right before. But yeah, come on in, there is some pre-work, so the sooner the better is what I say. I'm like, we give you guys little micro pieces of information and micro courses so that you come ready to really dig in with us. And um, you'll be amazed at what you're able to achieve in just a 2 hour period. But this is something that can transform your business and your customer experience with your prospects and clients. So we would love you
Yeah,
guys to come.
I think it's a great opportunity. I'm glad you mentioned whether you have a course where you're like, oh, shoot, my course is actually really long, or gosh, I have noticed that with my masterclass that I was doing for 2 hours and nobody's coming. Or if this is a new concept to you and you're just like, I really think maybe I could go micro. I really think I have some great ideas for micro courses. This workshop is going to do all the things. So wherever you're at with whatever part of this conversation resonated, by the time you leave the workshop, Danielle's going to help you have an amazing micro funnel. I'm going to help you have the perfect topic and content for your micro course. And it's going to be a chance to have that support, our support as you dive into going micro and really starting to micro your marketing and being one of the leaders out there, being one of the pioneers who decided to say, like, I'm going to go bite size, recognizing that you're going to have greater impact. So it's
So,
going to be 2 hours full of fun, and we love to get things done. So that's the other thing that's going to happen in those 2 hours. Yeah.
yeah, we don't we're n- we may be fluffy with our kids, and lovey, but not when it comes to not when it comes to getting stuff done. Um, we're very gentle though. I would say that we're gentle with our teaching, but we
Yeah.
we do get stuff done because you guys need to go and implement. So otherwise you just spent 2 hours not getting getting
Yeah.
everything you need, and that's not what we're about. So 2 hours, I believe it's 10 a.m. Pacific,
Yes.
1 p.m. Eastern on March 24th.
Mhm.
We will have a replay, guys. So if we have a large amount of you guys that can't come live, then maybe we'll do a follow up or something for everybody. So just if you have any questions, then you can DM either of us. I did just go ahead and put the link in the comment section of the event. But again, if you're watching this and you don't see it, just PM us. We will answer very quickly, or one of our admins will. And yeah, any closing words, Miss Kelly?
Go micro. That's our hashtag that we love. Go micro. And I'm just excited because I know it's a game changer for not only all of our entrepreneurs and business owners out there, but it's a game changer for your communities. It's such a great way to actually increase your impact that you have. And so it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yes, so well put. I was like, ah, I knew she was going to say that. As soon as she said it, I'm like, knew it. Nicely done. I was going to say that or go green. I thought you were going to say both, maybe.
I am going to say that it probably was the green that is triggered the.
Good old green. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for joining us, and we would love to see you next week on the workshop and dig in with us to your courses, even your group programs, or how to do micro courses in your current funnels and how to create those micro funnels. My goodness, guys, we're talking about saving so much time, so much time. Okay, bye for now, everybody.
Bye bye.
Hold on.